Hey guys, welcome back. DeFi, degens, drip, and farm for poverty. I'm your host, Drip Coach, dropping knowledge bombs on all Forex Shark related projects. And in today's video, we're going to be comparing the contract balance of plants in the drip garden and how that relates to inflation, something that is a hot topic for today. So if you're not familiar with inflation, but you're in the garden, it's happening. Or if you're trying to understand or get a better grasp of how inflation works in our fiat currency, the garden is a great way to compare and contrast these two and understand what's taking place. And again, shout out to Mike, the investor, because whoever sent him this email had this little note in here that says, side note, the plant contract balance is a great example of how USD is being devalued and why the garden works against rising inflation. I think this could make a good educational YouTube video, but I digress. So I decided to pick this up from him. I think that is a great video, and I'm going to dissect that in this video and hopefully give you guys a better understanding of how that works. So if you are not familiar with inflation, or somehow you still aren't really quite sure how to articulate it or what it is, the best way to explain it is basically your buying power is being devalued over time. It's still $1 or whatever the dollar value is, but what you can get for that dollar is decreasing. So what happens with inflation is they increase the supply, the amount of that currency in circulation. Simple analogy, if you were playing Monopoly with someone, there's a fixed amount of Monopoly money, but if all of a sudden you added another Monopoly board into the game and you doubled the amount of money, then essentially it will take twice as long to finish the game, or you have devalued the price of those assets because you have a lot more money going around. So that's essentially what's happening in our fiat currency. Not just the US dollar, but all central banks, because all central banks control the money supply and they can actually turn it on and off as they see fit and make more of it, literally out of thin air, called quantitative easing. What a nice way to say stealing money from you. So this chart shows the value of a dollar when it first got started way back in the 1913 or something like that. Basically, it was the equivalent of worth $26, and of today's standards, we're now worth $1. A better way to understand that is with this kind of chart. So a cup of coffee is still the same thing, right? A cup of coffee is still 12 ounces or whatever it is, and it's still made from beans and water. So the quality of the coffee hasn't increased, depending on where you get it from. But let's just say all coffee was the same. Well, 40 some odd years ago, 50 years ago, you could have gotten 4 cups. And now you have to pay $1.50 to get that same cup. So the dollar is being devalued, and therefore the things you can buy with that dollar are costing more and more money. That's basically inflation in a nutshell. And if you look at these charts, this one in particular, I'm going to show you a comparison with the drip garden. You'll see it's exactly the same. So this chart shows U.S. purchasing power and currency in circulation. So this line here, the red line, shows the amount in billions of US dollar in circulation. This doesn't even go into 2020 when this chart went straight up to the top. But look at this line and then look at this. So exact same trend. So what we're seeing is a parabolic influx of plants due to the mechanics in the drip garden. Now in the drip garden, this is actually a good thing. This was actually created, and it's a mathematical equation essentially to continue to increase the plants so that the buying power to purchase these plants becomes more attractive for new people. Unlike the dollar, people see this as being devalued and they want to get into something else that is not being devalued like this. So that's why you have people taking dollars and buying more sound assets such as real estate or gold, or investing in stocks and things of that nature, the S&P 500. So they want to take this that is being devalued and getting less and less purchasing power and put it into something that is going up and gaining purchasing power, such as real estate, right? Real estate is a fixed asset. There's only so much of it. And as we increase in our expansions and where we live and making things more nice to live in and stuff like that, basically the price of real estate goes up because you only have so much land to occupy. So the exact same thing is happening in the garden, right? So you have these plants, they're going up. So you can look at that as the same thing as the US dollar, it's going up. But what you can do with that is your plants are yielding you seeds. These seeds are exchanged for drip BUSD tokens. And that's what we see here in the contract balance. Just a quick message, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That does help the channel as well as help bring brand awareness to all Forex Shark related projects. Thanks. So this is the seeds or the drip BUSD tokens contract balance that you actually have in that contract once you get into the garden. And when you take that out, you can then decide, much like I said with the dollar, putting into another asset, you can decide to put those drip BUSD LP tokens into a better asset, such as the drip BUSD farm. So this farm gives you pigs, and remember, the pigs are yield earning assets, much like if you were to take your dollar and you were to buy a apartment or a house and rent it out. You now have an asset that's paying you dividends because someone is living in your asset and paying you rent, right? So you can think of the animal farm drip BUSD pool as, I'm saying drip BUSD farm as the same thing. You're going to take your devalued plants that are acquiring you BUSD LP tokens, and then you're going to take those tokens and put them into this farm, and then this farm is going to be paying you out pigs. Remember, the pigs automatically, once you stake them in the pig pen, have yield based on the transactions and everything coming out in this farm. And so I have a really good analogy that I'll be doing once this is actually updated. The UI is updated because I want to do this analogy on how to understand this entire ecosystem. And I think it'll make it a lot simpler for you all, but I want to wait till the farm is updated. So for now, we're just going to focus on just understanding this visualization between the devalue of the dollar and how that affects the plant price. Even though they're not exactly the same thing, it should give you a better overall understanding. There's another chart I forgot to bring up. It shows you basically $1 back in 1913 could have got you 30 Hershey chocolate bars. And now it gets you the 1 cup of coffee at McDonald's, which has gotten smaller, mind you, over the years as well. So this shows you, again, the purchasing power of that dollar. Again, with the drip garden, it's better because the contract is written and immutable. So it's not like the Fed where they can one day print 20% more dollars into circulation like they did in 2020, 2021, and then just turn it off and inflate it with interest rates to try to correct that. So they literally control the faucet on and off, on and off. Whereas with the drip BUSD contract, with the drip garden, it's fixed. Once it's out there, it's done. So this contract will continue to run in perpetuity until Binance Smart Chain stops to exist, or the nuclear holocaust comes up, or whatever the case may be. So that is one way that it outperforms or is better in a way than the way the US dollar is working. So inflation in and of itself is something that is common as you get more supply basically into a system, and then usually the market will correct that and help to adjust that. But when someone else is controlling that supply, there's nothing to correct it. It's just kind of fixed. And that's what makes this, again, a lot better in the long term. Like, you definitely are seeing some devaluation, but it's controllable in the sense that you can decide what you want to do. If you are taking profits while the contract balance is increasing, then the value of your LPs in BUSD value is going to increase, even though your plant production seed value may not be increasing. So you're able to take this out, these tokens, and put them into another contract, like I said, the farm, and kind of stave off that devaluation of plants and start earning in a asset that is deflationary. So remember, these pigs are burned and they're controlled with the dynamic control supply algorithm. So again, it's a contract that dictates how many pigs will be put in circulation and how many will be pulled out, like burned, based on transactions. So this faucet lever is a lot more sustainable in the long term with the basic market supply and demand by volatility, sorry, because we get to dictate how that price is going to be affected. So yeah, just a segue. I'm going off on a tangent here, but basically I want you guys to understand about the drip contract balance as it relates to plants, and then how that is in regards to the buying power of the seeds you get as the drip USD contract balance increases. So hopefully that made some sense and it didn't lose you guys in the weeds somewhere. But the TLDR is that this is actually a good thing because, again, it makes it more attractive for people to get in. And in addition, that it allows you, once you have accumulated them, to remove these and put them into a farm that is yielding you an asset that is not as inflationary or devalued as the plants. So that's the long and short of it. So as always, if you find this valuable, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, guys, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.